The crypto market sure is looking strong. Bitcoin 38,000. Can it crack the 40,000 level? Ethereum just a tad over 2,000. XRP hanging in there at number 5 at 61 cents. I'll tell you this, I wouldn't bet against this crypto market. And if we do get a Bitcoin ETF across the finish line here in this round, we could be an all-out goblin town by March or April. Things can get crazy in a hurry. Now, part of the scary part is, well, our fate, in the short term at least, is a little bit in the hands of the SEC. Are they going to do what's right and push this thing through, or will they kick the can down the road a little bit? I don't think they can delay things a lot. I do not think we make it out of 2024 without a Bitcoin ETF, but, we don't want this round to get rejected, because if we do, the prices, you know what they'll do. They'll go down a little bit. Not the end of the world. If it happens, use it as an opportunity. But your major players, they sure are acting like they're going to get this thing done. BlackRock meeting with the SEC on a regular basis, really fine-tuning that product. It's looking like it might actually happen here. Now, this is an interesting article. I think an important one to understand what's going on with Ripple and SEC right now. We see regulatory storm clouds gather amid SEC Ripple lawsuit. So right now, we're in a discovery portion of this, trying to come up with remedies. So we see remedy-related discovery will furnish the parties with additional information to reach a settlement. So not a settlement as in they're not going to go on to appeals, but how much money should we ultimately have to pay here for these violations? If they can't, as we see alternatively, the court would deliver a penalty judgment based on the presented argument. And I assume that's what's going to have to happen. I highly doubt that Ripple and the SEC are going to agree on any dollar amounts. So probably it'll go back to the judge. The SEC, they're going to want to send a message. However, court case law may favor Ripple. So once again, the rule of law isn't going to probably favor the SEC, probably more towards Ripple. And the reason is we see this court case, a Supreme Court ruled the SEC only has jurisdiction over U.S.-based sales. XRP sales to institutional investors, those were the violations, totaled 770 million. But how many took place here in the United States? Now, I know when they were talking about Brad and Chris, like over 90% of them were overseas, their sales. I would assume that Ripple is fairly similar, but we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. If that's the case, it could be really a partially sum that they have to pay here. In discovery, Ripple will demonstrate the proceeds from XRP sales to U.S. institutional investors. So they'll have to segregate out those sales and go, look, this is all we sold in the United States. It's all you could possibly make claim to. And Ripple will also detail related expenses to derive net profits from the sale of XRP to U.S. institutional investors. So here's the thing. They can't be disgorged of profits they didn't make. If they pulled in $200 million, but they spent $100 million, well, that's going to limit how much the SEC can ultimately collect. Then even further, remember, we just recently had a court case where they said, well, you got to show there was some damaged party, that there were actually damages before you can get these catastrophic and massive settlement amounts. So, as this plays out, we'll see. But it likely is not going to be anywhere near the 770 million. And by the time this is done, it may be an embarrassingly small amount. I really feel Gary Gensler should have settled this out some time ago, but he wanted to see how the courts were going to rule. We found out, and it was in our favor in a massive way. Roll Paul reminding us, don't mess this up. It doesn't get this hard. Make sure you have heavy hitter, premium cryptos. Make sure you take your time. And, if we see a sell-off, if there's a little bit of turbulence here, don't freak out. It's to be expected. That's crypto, no big deal. We know ultimately where we're headed, and I think we're heading in a very quick manner towards the next big bull run. And it may be different than anything we've seen, and it may be the last one of this kind. The game will change. There'll always be boom and bust cycles for sure, but it may not continue to play out as we have seen, especially once you have the entrance of traditional finance in here. It should bolster this asset class a little bit, where it won't be as a full asset class quite as tumultuous as it's been. Now we see Ronaldo. He's getting sued for an NFT collection that he launched in a promotion with Binance. He's being sued for $1 billion. Now, here's the deal. I don't know how much teeth is really to this lawsuit. Someone could sue you for anything, for any amount. We know that. But this is the problem right now. People probably would like to jump into crypto and NFTs and all this stuff, but the laws aren't clear, and it really opens you up in a big way. I mean, I'm sure Ronaldo, even if he's not going to lose, he doesn't want to get sued for $1 billion. No one likes a suit like that. So unfortunately, this is kind of going to hold back adoption of this space until some of the stuff is cleared up. You wouldn't think an NFT could get you there, but they're saying he made claims about these NFTs and didn't deliver, and now they have some big losses. I mean, how could their losses be anywhere near $1 billion? To me, that's just nuts. But we'll see it play out. I suspect this will either get thrown out or settle for some small amount of money, but only time will tell. Again, this is an emerging asset class, and maybe even NFTs can get you in hot water. We'll only find out here. This is a scary stat here. We see in the U.S. right now, currently, U.S. banks have unrealized losses of $684 billion, and that's because a lot of their loans they've given out are nigh worthless now that interest rates are pretty high compared to where they were before. No one wants to buy your 3% mortgage from you. Everybody says, oh, don't worry about it. As long as you hold that note to maturity, well, you're fine. Well, that's the case for a lot of things in life. If you could hold out to maturity, you're good to go. When we saw the housing crisis, if people just made their payment on their mortgage to maturity, hey, no problem. You pay your house off. But unfortunately, a lot of times people have to unload assets for cash. And when you're sitting on losses like this, it can be catastrophic. So I don't know if we're out of the woods here yet. They're telling us we are. Everything's going to be fine. But those are some significant losses sitting on those books. And if they're pushed, if they're forced, if they have to start liquidating assets for any reason, well, they're going to start realizing those losses in a big way. And it could cause a bunch of turmoil in markets. Only time will tell how that plays out. This is the newest bit of fun. And I know a lot of people on my channel, you don't like Bitcoin, but now, every Bitcoin payment uses a swimming pool of water. Like, they always come up with some wacky stat. And, I'll tell you this. If you invest based on this kind of junk, you're going to lose. Just ignore all of these kind of Bitcoin FUDs or cryptos used for criminals, or Bitcoin's going to use all the water. Like, it's a bunch of nonsense and just someone dreaming up some new thing. It means absolutely nothing. Now, last thing I see here, this article, why Bitcoin could have a bull run in 2024 and reach a new all-time high. I was thinking later 2024, early 2025, but we may be ahead of schedule. I've never been one to be able to call the end of a bull run or the beginning of it for that either. So we'll hang in there and see how this plays out. It sure seems we are ready to rock and roll now. We know eventually and probably sooner than later it's going to happen. So I'm not too worried about the timing. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying green. Anytime prices are up, things are green, that's a good time. So we'll see it play out. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.